Hello, welcome. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Saturday Live. So, Saturday Lives, I'm here, Munwara Ali, leadership coach consultant, founder, CEO, and etc. etc. But I'm here today to throw the spotlight on community leadership because I'm absolutely passionate about advocating for leadership, and I believe that women make the best leaders, especially because women are innately capable of bringing communities together and families together. So today I have a wonderful guest, and her name is Salma Shah. I'm going to have my guest join me in a minute. But before I do that, I just wanted to quickly also mention. So, thank you to those of you who will watch this episode whenever, whether you're live now or you'll be watching the replay. I hope that you find something interesting that you take away and enlightening, I hope, and would be really interested to hear your feedback afterwards. So please do feel free to feedback. If you comment while we are having our conversation, because this is a interesting and enjoyable experience, I hope, for my guests and for myself. And sometimes it's not easy to catch the comments quick enough. We will pick up on the comments afterwards. Not sure why you're here, but if you are here, thank you for being here and taking the time to be here. So, without further ado, I'm going to welcome my wonderful guest. Hi,
Oh,
Salma. Lovely to
right.
have you. So, this is Salma Shah, who is an HR expert, and I'm going to ask you, Salma, to do the wonderful honors of introducing yourself and your background, please.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me today. My name is Salma, and I am HR professional. I recently launched my company, HR consultancy company called Cordial HR, where I offer different services for small growing businesses. So this is my first step into the industry, like business consultancy industry. So far, all good.
Fantastic. Thank you, Salma. Um, it's really interesting to hear that you just launched into your business very recently. So, Salma, just to introduce to people that are listening to us, how did we meet? Not long ago, right?
Yes, not long ago at all. To be honest, you inspired me, and I really wanted to. The reason also I launched my business because I want to help women in the business. I just not just businesses. I just want to have like the women like you. If I can be supportive, and I can do something for you, so then I decided to collaborate and speak to you to learn more about what you do as well.
No, amazing. Oh, actually, Salma and I met very, very recently, and
Reason.
it's been really that first conversation was really inspiring, and it got me thinking afterwards. A lot of what you do is focused at HR, but very relevant to cultural competence. So, being
Yeah.
able to deliver HR in a way that people who look like us would
Yeah.
can get the best, and also companies who want to engage people like us and to get the best out of us.
Yes.
So it's really great to have you here, and sort of you shedding a bit more light about your HR background. How did you come into this area of work then, Salma?
Basically, to be honest, I studied in engineering side, computer system engineer. So lack of, the kind of guidance, I could not end in the industry, IT industry. Then I was working in one of the private college, and they were looking for a HR person. So my manager, she approached me and she said, I just landed in HR. It's not like I planned to be in HR. So as she approached me and she said, do you want to be a HR? And I said, why not? Because I was looking for something more solid, because I was not like a very kind of, happy with what I was doing there. So then I got the opportunity, and then from there I learned about HR, and this is how I landed in the HR.
Interesting. It's interesting how a lot of people land into was talking about how
Yeah.
I landed into fundraising and you landed into
Okay.
HR.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So you don't think at all like where like yours, maybe I was destined to be in HR.
Well, clearly, it must have been something that you were good at because you were in that profession for quite a while. And what has your experience been in HR? What have you found like some of the challenges in HR?
To be honest, for me, what I have seen, HR needs the company needs to understand what HR can do for them. I met so many, in small business or medium, and mostly CEOs or manager or the employee. They think HR only fire and hire, which is not true. Yeah, so we do a lot. We do a lot more than hire and fire, and we can add values. We can basically HR is the backbone of any companies, any business. But this is what I seriously, this is really like a big challenge. If you speak with other HR professionals, they will come and tell, yes, we sometimes they don't involve HR in decision making, and they are keep HR in the back. So they need to understand this is the my challenge. Which that reason also, like I said, like I mentioned, my business. I want to make sure. I want to tell the businesses what HR can do for you. It's not just call us when you're in trouble. We can do more than that. So my challenge, which the challenge I found, um, give more value to HR, understand HR more, what they can do for you. Do not just think call HR when you're in trouble. Otherwise, you don't see them.
It's true
So
though.
this,
It's so true that many
yeah,
businesses, especially the smaller ones that don't have the funds or maybe they don't invest in HR, they will contact HR when they're in trouble. Yeah,
that's true.
and
They, yeah, so they do not, to be honest, they do not think like, okay, we don't have enough funds, we can't afford HR. Even they can sometimes some HR can come and do some volunteer work to make things better. It's all about making your services and your businesses better for your employee. So it's completely up to the businesses. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like a win-win for both parties, but what I'm really enjoying, like listening, hearing you say, Salma, is, the need to take that proactive approach as opposed to a reactive approach. I mean, the world all over is so used to
Yeah.
being reactive. Something goes wrong, that's when we do something about it. So, how would you think, like, how would you say, like, how can companies be more proactive when it comes to HR? Like, what can HR do other than fire and hire?
HR, what HR can do, HR can create a very positive culture. They of course, they can create policies and procedure where they will make sure there's no harassment. They can make sure the working environment is diverse. They can make sure the employees feel valued. And they can help in training and development of their employees. So all these like they can they can provide a holistic approach to the business where they can provide them all the solution how the business can thrive. Business only can thrive if you're going to give value to your employees. They work so hard for you, and if you think they are just numbers, I'm sorry, they will think you are a number as well. So they will try to move away. So this is the companies need to understand how they can, because the employees are a great asset. So how they need to make sure if they want to any business, if they want to grow, they need to grow their employees as well. It's not they are growing; they can grow without employees. So this is where they can need to think. They need to be thoughtful. They need to so they need to think how where they are now and where they want to go, and then they will decide okay how we can make sure what we need to do, how we can fill this gap. And for filling this gap, they need to have a HR. So HR can fill this gap for them to, if they want to reach their objectives. So they need to be the all employee or even small business. They need to think critically how the HR can play a very crucial role to the
It's
business.
very interesting what you just said about culture. As you were talking, I was thinking, it's so important for HR to be involved in decision making, and yet I think
It's
our
very
experience
important.
is that HR isn't. So I was
Mm,
thinking as well, you were talking about culture. What if, because
mm,
I've met people in HR who are either this way or that way, as in either they are
yeah.
very much like the company's gatekeeper,
Mhm.
or they're
Yeah.
very much like an advocate for the.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
where do you think that what kind of approach HR, whoever's running HR, their
Mhm.
approach really influences culture or not?
To be honest, it does. Like I said, it's all depend on the company's culture as well. Yes, there are many companies, they want HR to just take their side. They don't want them to be for employee. But HR, to be honest, HR is for both. HR is there to help both. HR build the bridges. They are a bridge between employer and employee, and they need to make sure the company is um, running everything. For example, their processes are ethical. If you're ethical, if your business is running ethically, I don't think so. You will have kind of unhappy employees. You mostly get unhappy employees when you're not running things ethically. So that's why when you're not ethical, you're in trouble. And then you have to. I understand HR does take a side, but it's not taking side. They still try to bring the balance, but sometimes you can see sometimes some staff, they might think yes, HR not with us, but they both sides need to understand HR is not there for taking side. HR there to bring the fairness, because this is HR duty to bring the fairness and make sure that, or whatever they are doing, they're doing ethically. So um, what is my opinion? If I'm working as HR, I'll try my best to create a balance for both parties, not just one.
Mm, mm. That's a really valuable point there about integrity and making sure you are doing HR is doing its job ethically. Um,
Ethically. Even everyone, to be honest, is just it's not your leader or your senior management, and you have right to do things unethically. You have to be ethical. You have this is how like you said, this is how you build a trust, and both side. So you need to build a trust. HR needs to build a trust for both. So they need to make sure they both trust them. They both should like even employ or employ. They both need to understand yes, HR is there for us, and they will do the fair procedure and they will make a fair decision.
that's why it's so important to have the right people in
Mm,
HR, right? You've
yeah.
got to have people full of integrity. But I think an important point you made there is around also, um, I think, awareness, because if the HR professional has been trained, has a corporate
Mm,
background, their approach is going to be
yeah.
very different to somebody who
Yeah.
doesn't have the corporate
Yeah.
background. How do you, I mean, does that stand out to you when you look at a company and you look at maybe the culture? Like, can you tell
Mm.
sometimes, like, whether there's a problem in HR or not?
To be what I believe, I wish I could as well. I think HR should be a very independent department. Whether you're in a way working with the employee, they should treat you a very independent department. They should not intervene. They should not come and say, okay, you need to make this decision. You can't make this decision. You have to, what support us, not the employee. They need to see a HR, when they will see HR a very independent and fair department. I don't think so. They will intervene much and tell them what to do or not to do. This is what I really. I wish I could. I could make awareness to everyone. Just leave HR as an independent department, so they can make a very fair decision for everyone. And because of this, so many times HR is not, to be honest, they are not making fair decisions for employees. That's why HR is, if you meet staff or employees, they have very negative view of HR. They think HR is just for employer, not employer at all.
Yeah, and I think it's
So
that lifelong argument around, okay, we're paying your salary, so surely you
yeah,
need to do
yeah.
what's in our company's best interest.
That's true. So I think if HR start training how to, it's a very important. Like nowadays, the leadership is like a very trending. So leadership, having a leader in your companies are very important. Not a manager, not a CEO. Leaders. When you're a leader, you will even you lead everyone by example, not just like um, just practice like just sake of being a leader, you will lead everyone. So having leader in your companies are very important.
Yeah, so that means obviously you're talking about the influence that the
Yeah.
leadership, and I can see exactly how that influences. So if you had like say, I mean, it's common in the charity sector, for example, very small
Mhm.
charities and organizations, CICs, etc., and they're run
Mhm.
by great people, but sometimes very overstretched, and they're doing everything.
Yeah. Yes.
And you know, they want HR to be a certain way, and then maybe they employ someone who comes from a corporate background, and it can
Mhm.
go pear shaped because
Yeah.
you know, it's I mean, I've had that similar kind of experience in the past, because staff, if they're used to a certain culture and then they suddenly are uh,
Mhm.
having to deal with somebody who is experienced, very experienced in
Mhm.
HR, but from a corporate background, their experience is going to
Yeah.
be different. So there's going to be a lot of unhappiness among staff,
Yes.
because they don't agree with it, or they prefer the leader's approach, maybe, or the leadership culture within the organization, or influence. But maybe you have HR in a very strong, significant role, and that can highly influence the culture of the organization. And sometimes leaders don't realize that. I mean, I deal with a lot of small companies, so I know that it's not an uncommon thing that happens. Um, so,
Mhm.
Salma, just to take you back to the original lived experience, you know,
Mhm.
radar, and I know you said earlier that was one of the reasons why you kind of set up your own company and started doing work yourself, your business, because you wanted to help more women with
Yes.
HR, especially small businesses. So I'm
Mhm.
just thinking about the whole thing about, you know, experience versus expertise. Because if
Mhm.
a company wants to hire somebody who will
Mhm.
run at the speed of lightning and get the ground
Mhm.
running, they will want someone highly experienced, right? And sometimes there's also the other thing about, I mean, just generally, I'm not talking about HR itself, but about
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.
recruitment. And then there's the other thing about, okay, do they have a qualification? And I feel like
Mhm.
society is going down the road of like there's more emphasis on experience. But what's your perspective? Do you think the expertise is more important than the experience, or the other way around?
Yeah. Well, I believe they both, even experience and experience, they both are crucial. They both serve different purposes. Experience give you, like, for example, broad understanding and then navigate like a real life solutions. And expertise is like when you are expert on certain areas and you have specialized the area and you have more knowledge actually in depth. So it's not, we cannot say like it's we just have should have expertise or not experience. No, they both are, the combination of experience and expertise makes a person incredible value, valuable. For example, a person with experience, he can have user experience, but he might not solve some complex situations. And on the other side, if you have expertise and you can resolve the kind of a complex situation, but you might not have hand-on experience. So what I believe, we cannot say we should follow someone we should hire someone with experience only, no expertise. It's all depend. This is a brilliant combination if you want to hire someone and he has combination of both. And this is what is. I really don't see, like, even my side. Of course, some people, they have user experience, but they don't pay attention on, for example, in HR, if someone might have experience of years of experience, but they are not paying attention to be expert in something else, for example, in performance management, or they are not expert in, for example, employee relations. But if you have combination, of course, there's the best combination for any person, having both. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I hear you in terms of the combination. We
yeah,
don't always have the best combination. And it's an important point there because it's a
mm,
win-win if you can get it both.
yeah.
Um,
I'm,
but I was thinking also, do you think now employers are prioritizing more like qualifications or more experience? Because when we talk about lived experience, right,
mm,
somebody who comes from a particular community is going to be aware of certain issues. So, in an HR department, for example, or any department, you have somebody who is, I don't know, from a particular community, like Somalian community in an area that has huge population of Somalians. They're going to be
mm,
more culturally aware of that community's needs. And so, for
yeah,
example, like not organizing events when it's Eid or Ramadan or something. And I can tell you, 30 years of my working in my professional career, I have seen so many
mm,
situations where it's a team of senior officers make a decision. They don't consult their
yes,
non-white or diverse team members to figure
yes.
out, okay, what should we be thinking about?
Mm. Um, yes, and to be honest, diversity is, like, if you're talking about diversity, yes, it is important. And you of course, if you have a diverse community, or if you have diverse culture, of course you can have a different people with a different expertise, different backgrounds, and of course you can make a better decision. Not like you're right. Most CEOs or seniors, they don't involve many people when they make decision. It doesn't, like, it doesn't matter sometimes which color, which background you are. Maybe this is how they are. They don't the involve many people. And like you said, Somalian, for example, what do you mean? Like, which, how do you want,
Okay,
like, the
I'll give you an example. I mean, obviously, I'm a senior leader within an organization,
mm,
and I have a very, very diverse team. But I also
yeah,
have like, team members that are highly experienced, but
mm,
they may not be as culturally aware. So if
yeah,
I will point out things like, can you please not organize XYZ Ramadan?
mm,
And I feel like because the trust is there and we work very well
mm,
as an organization or as a team, they trust my
mm,
cultural intelligence and that
okay,
informs decision making. However,
mm,
if you have an organization that is one type, either like all Somalis or all, white or all
yes,
black, kind of
yes, yeah,
there isn't that cultural intelligence. And I
mm,
think if I were not there, that decision
mm,
making table, they would have gone ahead
yeah,
and just gone with the date because they're very experienced people. They just like to do things very fast and quickly.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's true. Once when I was working in a college, and to be honest, we were having diverse culture, and I there was we wanted to arrange actually something, and we did not, like you're right, like when you should have diverse culture to understand the different culture, because it may be something which is right for you, it's okay for you but not okay for other culture, or maybe with you because it's also so this is, if you feel like I said, when you have a diverse culture, this really helps you to understand each other, and you can for example, if you want to do anything for any other culture, if you have a person there, he can come forward and he can make you to understand how culture looks like. For example, during Ramadan, and many people, they don't know, like we sometimes when I go somewhere and they offer me water or something, so if someone is there, because they don't know in Ramadan you cannot eat the whole day, so when if you have a someone, a Muslim, or and in your organization, of course, they can make awareness, they can create awareness to anyone, and they can tell them, okay, how to deal with a Muslim employee. And a Muslim employee can come forward and they can teach us all and what Ramadan is teaching and these kind of things. Diverse, like diversity, yes, it can bring, to be honest, diversity can bring everyone together and can create more unity. Because when you understand each other, you have less, even if you have any negative kind of thoughts about someone, if you have diverse culture, you can clear those as well. So having diverse culture is very important everywhere. Not especially in this country. We this country is very lucky. They have everyone who can come forward and they can play their roles.
It's and we're very fortunate that we live in a very multicultural society.
Yes. Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
feel sometimes though we're not capitalizing on what we have, which is such
Yeah.
a shame because it stands out like a sore thumb to others when a decision is
Mm.
made. Recently, there was a conference in Tower Hamlets, which has a huge Asian population, and they decided to do an all-day conference during Ramadan, like all day from 10 till 4. And I brought it up and I said, why would you do that? Because maybe almost 50% of your service users that you expect to attend are from a cultural background that's going to prevent them
Yeah.
from who's going to want. I don't want to go to, while I'm fasting, go to a
Yeah.
6 hour conference. And I was
Mm.
told, oh yeah, we consulted, we are aware, but we decided to go ahead with it anyway. And I thought to myself, where's the forethought? Because if
Yeah.
if you are, what the message you're giving them
Mm.
is, you're not the kind of people we want there. It's okay to
Yeah.
exclude you. And
Yeah.
I don't think that level of awareness and thought
Yeah.
has gone into that decision making.
Yeah.
What's your perspective on that?
Yeah, like I said, it's very important, like to have, if you have a diverse, the culture, and of course, if you are making any decision, you will think, okay, do we have to do, or do we need to do? So this is um, the having to know what like I said. Diversity is, especially we are so lucky by living in a country where they give you all the kind of the opportunity to present yourself, and we as a I believe what we need to do, we need to come forward and present ourselves as what we like and how we like, and we need to have diverse. We need to encourage diversity in different businesses as well. So they should understand how to deal with the different communities, how to understand them. So if they want to do anything, they need to, before they're doing anything, they need to understand the culture, and even the religion of the staff or employee or anyone else.
I mean, I hear you what you said. We need to take ownership as well
Yes, yeah.
and that kind of thing. But if the decision makers don't actually get it, so if somebody has consulted half the population
Mm,
half the people they're expecting to invite,
yeah,
and they've told them it's an issue.
yeah,
Surely my immediate thought is, okay, I need to rearrange this date.
yeah,
Let's do it 2 weeks later or
yeah,
4 weeks
yeah,
later.
yeah,
That's my immediate
mm,
response, because we when we do something, we do it, we think of our audience,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So if it doesn't suit our audience, why are we doing it?
Yeah, that's true. You need to, if you, for example, if you're doing, you're targeting, for example, Muslim, and you want to invite them, you need to make sure if you are doing in Ramadan, you need to make sure, okay, what we can do during the Ramadan. Can we have the, the events during the Ramadan or some other months, whatever they want to do, they need to understand. They need to, like you said, they need to approach, they need to talk to people, how they can do and how they can make things better, not just what they are thinking. So
Mm.
sometimes, yes, some people they do, they might. I have been to some events as well, and they even I told them what I want, but things are not there because they think they met someone and they said yes to them, and because one person said yes to them, they thought, oh, it's good, it's fine with all other tens. So it's not true. You have to make sure, and you have to think about community. You have to think big. How, if you're arranging something, if you're doing something, how are you going to impact? What impact is going to leave on the minority or whoever you are going to do for?
It's interesting because we were talking about being proactive and reactive before, and like often that thinking doesn't happen far enough, like earlier enough in the
Mm,
process. It's usually an
mm,
afterthought. Okay, have we thought of
mm,
diversity? Right? There's one thing, and the other thing that you were saying, like I think is a confidence
yes.
issue. If I raise
Mm,
something, but actually in that room or around that
mm,
table there are maybe one other Muslim person who doesn't raise it as
mm,
an issue, then I'm the difficult
mm,
one, and it becomes personalized to,
yeah.
okay,
Mm,
Munwara is being
mm,
difficult because such and
yeah.
such doesn't have a problem, and they
That's,
come during Ramadan. So I think confidence is an issue, and I'll
mm,
be honest, like I've been in
mm,
situations where I haven't felt
yes.
confident that whatever
Mm,
I say is going to be
mm,
accepted or is going to be embraced. Sometimes I could see, like I've said something and it's been totally disregarded because they're thinking, okay, that's a
yeah,
personal, subjective
that's
point.
true. Yeah, it's true. Very true. Yeah.
you know but I mean, if I were
Mm,
organizing an event, I or any of my team were, I would always say, like, be mindful, don't do it. I sometimes say, don't organize yet another Christmas do, because people have a lot going on
yes,
in their
yeah.
families and in their communities, and that whole week of
Mm,
leading up to Christmas, a very busy time, people have to do
yeah.
family shopping and also don't go and organize
That's
yet another
true.
event.
Well, like during COVID, when I was working, I remember there were some people at my workplace. They wanted to do the Christmas party. Then I said to them, "Do not do it. Let's not do it because so many people they are like we need to be thoughtful. We need to be caring and considerate because many people they lost their loved ones and it was very difficult, time. So I said, sometimes you just make a sacrifice and just make other happy. It's just tell them yes you are with them, you're this is how you can show the support as well. So you need to be thoughtful when you're doing and considerate when you're doing anything for others. How it's going to impact, the impact
Mm,
is more important. How it's going to, how what kind of like how people going to feel, what impact they're going to leave what you're doing. Sometimes you're doing very good things for someone, but it's leaving a very negative impact. And someone is sometimes you do a very small thing, but it leaves a very positive impact on someone. So that leaving
mm.
impression and impact.
Yeah, no, I like what you said there
Yeah,
about impact, because ultimately, people will
yeah,
always remember
yeah,
how you made them feel. And sadly, that's
yeah.
the trauma response when in future they're in a similar
Mm,
situation. That is carried, how they were affected and impacted previously. And maybe that affects people's
yes.
confidence levels. Like, if I asked
Mm,
for something and I was
yes.
not given, or I was the response was a horrible one, I'm not going to feel
Mm.
comfortable
Yes,
asking again.
that's
I spoke up one time and I said, I don't agree with this, and nobody
mm,
really listened to my point. It was brushed aside. Am I ever going to share my
mm,
opinion in
yeah,
future?
so true. No, no, you are. This is when I started my cordial HR. For me, my one of the values adding value. So it's very important. It doesn't matter even in friendship or even wherever you're working. We all human wants to feel valued, and it's very important. If someone's saying to something, sometimes this is what happened with me as well, and it's not just me; it's happened with many people. Sometimes you should put like really positive, the ideas and solutions forward, but for some reason the seniors they don't listen, and you feel that yes, they don't value you, they don't respect you, and this is also give you the like you don't feel motivated, and when you're not motivated, of course you wouldn't want to stay with the employer or whoever you're with. So it's very important to give value, and if someone try to add value in your organization, your employee, or if you're a friend, like I said, the friends as well, just listen to them and give them. If you can't do, at least tell them, go back and tell them, okay, this is a very good idea, but we'll look into it. But do not reject completely, because this is, of course, not is going to leave, like even sometimes some people are sensitive, it can leave a mental health, like on their, it can impact on their mental health as well. They think, okay, I'm here for years but they don't listen to me. So it's very important to make sure you are um, making sure the people feel valued and respected.
Mm, mm. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a huge part of a company culture, right? That people
Yes,
feel valued. It
yeah.
makes the difference between a company
Mm.
that has
Yes,
staff
yeah.
turnover and one that has people
Mm.
that hang
Yeah,
around long enough because
that's
they feel
valid.
valued. But it's very interesting because I sometimes wonder if it's like an ongoing thing. You constantly having to
Mm.
think about ways, and thinking is very important, but especially if you want to be
Mm.
proactive and not reactive, but many people don't spend any time in the thinking
Yeah.
space whatsoever. I was just thinking about recruitment panels. So, what, in your experience, is the best way to design or like recruitment? I mean, obviously, you talk about the independence
Yeah.
of HR, which sounds like they're a good group or good department to design recruitment panels, and it is
Yes,
part of
yeah.
HR's job. But how do you make sure that you have a recruitment panel that is diverse and that they can challenge each other in the actual recruitment, because everyone has a different view, and whether we
Mm.
like it or not, we are influenced
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
our own experience. We might have a CV in front of us and somebody with
Um,
questions, but if, say, for example, I look at someone and I think of interviewing, how do you stop me, if I'm on an interview panel, from using my own personal biases?
Okay. To be honest, yeah. Okay. To be honest, you're not allowed to do that at all.
Of course, but in reality, it
I
happens all
said,
the time. I've seen so many
what
recruitment
we do,
panels.
what is the best thing? Of course, when you are having when you are creating or designing a recruitment panel, you need to make sure it should be fair and transparent. It's very important to have a very fair and transparent processes, and you need to make sure if the panel should be diverse. It's like you said, if you have a diverse panel, that everyone, for example, if you have three members that are from different backgrounds and different expertise, and what they can do, what they can assess candidate work from multiple angles. So of course, rather than they having argue with each other, if they have a different backgrounds, expertise, of course they can make a better decision. And also the clear rules is very important. When you are having a panel, you need to tell them what is their role in the panel, what decision they can make. It's not they can make the one person only can make decision. You need to tell what decision and who's going to make the decision and what feedback they need to provide and how they do. So it should be a very, like I said, a transparent process, and you need to tell them. yes, this is your role, and this is what you're going to do, and this decision you can make, and this you cannot make. And also, you need to tell them. You need to make sure they have standard evaluation criteria. So which they need to do. They need to fill, for example, HR. They create an interview toolkit. They provide panels interview toolkit with their scores, and they said, okay, this is how you need to do. You need to give only scores. You go individually. You're going to, when you're doing the interview, individually you need to give this a score, and this is also going to build kind of transparency and fairness, because everyone is doing their job. And device, like you said, unconscious. We always HR trained panels, that we always give them training, how like not to we train them not to be biased. We tell them by law they can't do this, and also this is like having diverse, like I said, having diverse panel, and just train them and make sure the whole process is very transparent when it comes to recruitment, because many people, they don't understand. HR understand, but not maybe the panel understand. The recruitment is your first door. The recruitment is like your first impression to candidate, which going to be your employee later. So if you're not going to give a very fair, and you need to make sure even during the interview, the panel need to make sure the candidate feel valued. And this is even the HR. They need to make sure their recruitment or own process should be very engaging, so people can feel, and the candidate can feel valued. So if you're going to leave a very positive impression, of course your candidate, of course, will be willing to come to join you, and wanted to leave a very positive impact to your company. So all about transparency, fairness, and honesty.
No, thank you. Very nice way of summarizing the three things that's important in the recruitment process. I'm going to put like a controversial question to you around recruitment again. Um, do How do you deal with, or is it possible if somebody on a recruitment panel doesn't, or the company doesn't want to mentor or coach or offer any sort of learning opportunities, are they is it possible for them to end up recruiting just for experience? And in some ways, does that mean then those who lack confidence don't get recruited?
Like during the interview, what
Yeah,
do you
so
mean?
if you had like two candidates, and one had lacked confidence but still, like, maybe they needed a bit more support, and then you had another candidate who had a lot of experience, and this is where I'm very confused in this situation, because you may have somebody who has a lot of experience, they're not from a very diverse background, and have
Mm,
somebody who lacks confidence but they need
yeah.
more support to grow. So is it possible that that can influence people's decision making? And
To be honest, it depends, because we did this as well. It depends on the employer. It depends how considerate and kind they are. But I won't lie. I won't say no. They will prefer someone who's had less experience, and they have less, like a more diverse, coming from more diverse culture, place, and one is with the less diverse. But I know what people are looking for. They will look for a more confident, more experienced person. But also it depends on the, sometimes HR can of course come forward and say, yes, we can give the opportunity to this person, and it's all depend on what the person is. Sometimes some people are not very confident, but and they are not very expressive. They are maybe introvert, and they cannot talk much. They can express much, but maybe they know more than the person who is talking more and expressing more. Sometimes some people express a lot more, but they know less, and some they are, they talk less, but they know more. So it's all depend. It's all depend how you're going to, assess the person. So if they both are genuine, the person which is speaking like they have experience and they're genuine, they have experience and they're talking about the experience, and the person here less confident and less experience. Again, I said it's all depend on the company. It's all depend on the the hiring manager if they want to give the opportunity. And some they do give as well. I have seen people giving people who have less experience and they're less confident and they're supported, and they have given them the role and said, okay, never mind. Especially some coming from other, for example, Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, or other countries, and they need more support because they never have worked in this country, and they do get chance as well. So it's all depend, to be honest. It's all an assessment and your consideration and kindness.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, we
Yeah,
say
fairness,
fairness,
yeah.
but actually you're saying
No,
kindness. So
fairness,
that
yes,
means
fairness, like I said, yeah.
bigger
No,
picture.
fairness, if you, for example, if a person is a less has less experience and one is more, but of course, company will go for the person who has more experience and more suitable for the role, rather than the person who has less confidence and has less experience. And of course, they will make a fair decision. So they can't say, yes, this is a fair, we leaving an experienced person behind and taking the person who has less. So of course, yeah, fairness is, of course, it is very important in when you're recruiting someone. So
No, I listen, I hear you, and I agree that there is no hard and fast rule. There is no
yeah,
perfect way of doing things or perfect
mm,
answer, but it is
mm.
challenging. It is challenging, and
It is
each
challenging. Yes, I
situation,
know it is challenging. Yeah.
yeah, each
No, I
situation.
know we should prefer. I know we should always give opportunity to the people who has less experience so they can grow as well.
Salma, I think your screen is going. I think it's a sign that we need to end this and
Oh,
wrap it up. Thank you
thank
very
you. Thank
much,
you for having me.
and especially giving all your time on a Saturday while you're
Thank you, no
fasting.
worries. Thank you very much for having me.
I like to think that your insight is going to make a difference to whoever listens to us talking
Mm,
afterwards. And yeah, no, thank you for taking the brave step to be here
yeah.
today with very little planning. And thank you also for signing up for
Yeah,
the
thank you
mountain
very much.
climb.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, and thank you what you're doing for the ladies in Bangladesh. You're doing seriously, you're doing a lot for them, a lot for them. They will be thankful.
And so are you now. And so are you now. Part of
Yeah,
the team. So Salma has signed up to climb a mountain in Austria, and between us, we will be fundraising to get to this next stage of our building project. We're building an institute for women to teach them skills to become financially independent, and you are
yeah.
part of that journey now, Salma, a huge part.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
for the
Thank you.
partnership, and have a
You
great
too. Thank you
weekend.
very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.